General. G'day my suckies, it's JazzyQ7 here. Hope you guys are having a fabulous day and really enjoying every minute you can of it. And today I'm going to say is the day where you contact that old friend that you've once lost deep in your DMs. You were really close with them, but they've just kind of petered out now. Just flick them a message right now. Pause this video and flick them a message because they're important and you never know what's going to happen if you chat with them. Something maybe like completely different. You might go out with them, you might, just have a fun time. So flick them a message. So today I'm going to be talking about my experience with my first touchscreen phone. And it's not the touchscreen phone in general, like it was a smartphone and all that. But it's what happened with it that was really quite irritating. And honestly, it changed how I did things and opened up a few areas for me. And I kind of am happy it happened. But I'm pretty mega upset that it did happen at the same time because it caused a lot of grief and it's quite irritating. So pretty much what happened is I had a new phone that had recently come out, the Sony Xperia Z3, and this was at the start of high school for me. It was the first smartphone I had. I had a iPod Touch, which was quite funny because I made a burial for that thing in high school. They made us make boxes, and I made a burial box for my iPod Touch, and it's still in the back of my cupboard where I put it in the box, and it's pretty funny how it's still there, and my Xperia is dead. So pretty much what happened with the Xperia was I just got it, and maybe 6 months down the line, I was trying out new cases, seeing what worked, because I'd never really dealt with cases and protection and stuff before. And what I did was I got one of those flip cases, like a wallet, so you can keep cards in it. You know, the ones that cover the screen. And I thought it was a good case, but it was kind of cheapy, but cheapy enough to actually work as a case, stop scratches and stuff. And the issue with the Sony Xperia as well is if you crack the screen, as I found out through my sister, the whole screen would stop working, and it was very inconvenient because you kind of want your screen to work, especially if you've slightly cracked it. So what happened was I cracked the screen in the case of I was carrying my books and I tripped a little bit, and with a small trip it just happened to fall off. It slid off the top of my books and hit the ground, and I was devastated because it just chipped the top part of the screen, and that was it, and it damaged the whole thing and I couldn't get it working. And from there I was like, alright, I'm gonna have to get this fixed. Where am I gonna go to get this fixed? I might be able to do something. I know my sister broke her one maybe 2 months before, so I'll get it fixed where she got hers. And where we got it fixed was in Rundle Mall, if you've ever heard of it, with the place with two giant balls called the Malls Balls. Have a look at it, it's pretty cool. We went down into an area which is like a food area, a food court, and it's downstairs. And downstairs here, there was a phone fixing place, which they're supposed to fix your phone in 2 hours on the go, so you drop your phone in and then you run out. And it worked pretty well with my sister. They fixed it all fine, and there was no hassles there. But when we went and dropped my phone in, they weren't so good with it. And it was like a domino effect of bad luck for me. So first of all, they fixed it, and it was all fine. And I got it back, and I had a 32 gig SD card at the time. And that's still pretty big for an SD card. And back then it was the biggest SD card you could possibly get, and my dad was like, what would you need 32 gigs for a phone? And I was like, yeah, you're gonna need it for pictures and stuff. So I had a nice 32 gig SD card, and yeah, they took it out and they never gave it back, and I lost all my photos on that SD card, which was already bad enough. And I was like, oh great, I needed that. It had all my stuff. And as things went on, I then happened to realize that the phone wasn't charging anymore. That's right, the charger port, it just wasn't working. It wasn't picking up any charge. And I'd looked it up, and I'm like, alright, I can probably fix this myself. I can probably soft reset it or something like that. Surely it wasn't the phone place that did it. And they broke my phone. They broke the charging thing. So I was like, okay, that's great. Maybe we can contact Consumer Affairs and see what happens. And honestly, not really too much happened with that at first. Then I got my mum to go down, and that was kind of irritating for her. But that's where the story goes. I was disconnected from this part, but that's where it goes. So my mum heads down, and she's like, alright, I'm going to be a Karen for today. I'm going to demand to talk to the manager because, like, you don't want your item to be broken and, you know, your phone's broken because they try to fix it. They fix the screen. They take your SD card, your 32 gig SD card, and lose it. And then they break, like, the charging port. Obviously, you're going to need a Karen in this situation. And my mum knows when to be a Karen, but in the right places. She's going to step down her case when she's like, like Catherine in my other video, but she knows when she needs to stand her ground. So my hero of a mum goes up to this place and she stands around and she's like, alright, my son's put his phone here. He's worked for his phone very hard and it took ages, and you've broken this phone and it's his first smartphone. Are you able to pay us back for what you've done? And they're like, no, we can't do it. We can fix it again. And she's like, all right, try fixing it again. But we want a refund for wasting our time, at least, because you've lost the SD card. And that's a $100 SD card right there. And they were like, no, we can't do that. So mum's like, all right, I'm not moving until you do. And she started just sitting there. Like, she started waiting. Standing around. And all these other people were coming over, and she was making them lose business. So she stood her ground, and she was making them lose business. So pretty much anyone who came over to fix their phones, she would just tell them what had happened, like the bad customer service and the breaking of the devices. And soon there was a crowd of ladies supporting her, and gentlemen even, supporting her because they've broken my phone and they're not going to fix it properly and they don't want to do anything about it. So it was a good thing that happened, because then the people who were at the place threatened to contact security, and my mum saw this as an opportunity to, you know, pounce in. She's like, do it, I dare you. And so they contacted security, and the security came up to my mum, and my mum's like, oh, can we just have a chat quickly away from these people? And she explained the situation, and pretty much the security had been like talked to a number of times about this place for being a bit sketchy, and they were on my mum's side. So they contacted security, and security was ready to help out and get like these people to pay up. And over time they eventually got like even more and more scared of my mum, and paid us back $300. Was not too much, but it was enough for me to like kickstart my next phone that I got. So I had to revert back to my buried iPod, which was in the back of my cupboard in a box. And you know, it was a bit annoying, but that's kind of what you get sometimes at these places. And it was fine in the end. But I had this kind of broken shell of a phone, and my sister, she happened to break her phone in a different way. And this kind of kicked me into something new. Because these people had broken my phone, taken my SD card, but given me $300 back, I could buy a new phone, obviously, but I was going to save up for a while for a new one. I ended up getting the Sony Xperia Z3, which was also the newest phone for the time, but that was a couple years down the line. And, yeah, it was a good phone. I'm glad I got that. But what I did in the meantime was my sister broke her phone, as I mentioned, and I learned how to fix it myself, because I'm like, surely if these people who are sketchy enough to not do any of that themselves can do it, then I'm sure I can. And that's when I came across a little known channel, which is actually a very big channel these days, Jerry Rig Everything. He's a legend. I'm never gonna forget him, because he has these really good phone breakdown things, and I followed him to the T. And that kind of kicked off me into fixing a lot of other phones as well. But I reckon that's another story for another day. Pretty much what happened was I got a hold of both phones, and I managed to fix my sister's phone. It had been majorly damaged, and I got a new screen replacement, and I could fix everything. And she got a new Sony phone, which was made out of two phones, and I was very proud of what I did. And very annoyed at those people who were very sketchy and not willing to fix my other phone. and all pay out. So the moral of the story of this situation is your mum is a legend if she is a legend, and my mum is a legend, so give your mums hugs because they're all legends, you know? Anyway, cheers my suckies for watching. I really do appreciate when you watch these videos, especially when you get to the end. I mean, that's crazy. You've watched the entire video and you've enjoyed it, obviously. Unless you haven't, then yeah, just maybe message me why you didn't enjoy it and I'll try and improve it. Anyway, cheers for watching, guys. I'll catch you in the next one.